Let's begin by going over exactly what we'll cover in this video. First, we'll examine the basic structure and function of the kidneys. Next, we'll look at how the kidneys filter blood and remove waste products. Then we'll explore how water balance is maintained through hormonal control. Finally, we'll investigate what happens when kidneys fail and the treatments available. The kidneys are bean-shaped organs located towards the back of the abdominal cavity, one on each side of the spine. Though relatively small, they perform several vital functions that maintain homeostasis in the body. The primary role of the kidneys is to filter waste products and excess substances from the blood. This cleaning process is essential for removing potentially harmful compounds while retaining useful materials. When blood passes through the kidneys, a complex filtration process occurs. This process is remarkably selective, allowing the kidneys to remove specific substances while returning others to the bloodstream. This filtration happens in microscopic structures called nephrons, which are the functional units of the kidneys. Each kidney contains about 1 million nephrons, giving them tremendous filtering capacity. The first stage of kidney function is ultrafiltration, where small molecules are filtered out of the blood as it passes through tiny blood vessels in the kidneys. The second stage is selective reabsorption, where useful substances are reabsorbed back into the bloodstream. This ensures that valuable materials aren't wasted by being excreted. The substances that aren't reabsorbed are removed from the body in urine, which is stored in the bladder before being expelled. Let's look more closely at the specific waste products removed by the kidneys. The first major waste product is urea. Urea forms when proteins are broken down in the liver. Proteins contain nitrogen, and when excess amino acids are broken down, this nitrogen needs to be removed from the body. Proteins and amino acids can't be stored by the body, unlike fats and carbohydrates. When we consume more protein than needed for growth and repair, the excess amino acids are converted to urea in a process called deamination. Ammonia is actually produced as an initial waste product during this process, and it's highly toxic. The liver quickly converts ammonia to urea, which is much less harmful and can be safely transported in the bloodstream to the kidneys for excretion. The kidneys also regulate ion levels in the blood. Ions such as sodium are taken into the body in food and then absorbed into the bloodstream. If the ion content of the body is wrong, this could upset the balance between ions and water, making it difficult to draw water into cells by osmosis. Having the wrong amount of water can damage cells or mean they don't work normally. Some ions are lost in sweat, which tastes salty due to its sodium content. However, the amount of ions in the body is primarily regulated by the kidneys. The right amount of ions must be maintained in the blood after filtration, and the rest is removed from the body in urine. Perhaps the most critical function of the kidneys is regulating water balance. Our bodies are approximately 70% water, and maintaining the correct amount is essential for all cellular functions. The body has to constantly balance the water coming in against the water going out. We lose water from the skin through sweat and from the lungs when breathing out. We can't control how much water we lose in these ways, so the amount of water is balanced by the amount we consume and the amount removed by the kidneys in urine. A specific hormone known as antidiuretic hormone regulates how concentrated our urine becomes. The pituitary gland, located at the base of the brain, secretes this hormone into the circulatory system. Special receptors in the brain continuously measure blood water levels, sending signals to the pituitary to adjust ADH secretion as needed. The whole process of water content regulation is controlled by negative feedback. This means that if the water content gets too high or too low, a mechanism will be triggered that brings it back to normal. When water content in the blood is too low, receptors in the brain detect this change. The coordination center in the brain receives this information and coordinates a response. The pituitary gland releases more ADH, so more water is reabsorbed from the kidney tubules back into the blood. This results in a smaller volume of more concentrated urine. Conversely, when water content in the blood is too high, the brain receptors detect this change. The coordination center receives this information and coordinates a different response. The pituitary gland releases less ADH, so less water is reabsorbed from the kidney tubules. This results in a larger volume of more dilute urine, removing the excess water from the body. This precise control mechanism allows our bodies to adapt to varying water intake and environmental conditions while maintaining a stable internal environment. What happens if the kidneys stop working properly? If someone's kidneys fail, waste products build up in their blood, and they lose the ability to control the levels of ions and water in their body. Eventually, this leads to death if not treated. There are two main treatments for kidney failure: regular dialysis or a kidney transplant. Dialysis is a medical procedure that artificially filters the blood. It's designed to keep concentrations of dissolved substances in the blood at normal levels and to remove waste products. In a dialysis machine, the patient's blood flows between partially permeable membranes surrounded by dialysis fluid. This fluid has the same concentration of dissolved ions and glucose as healthy blood. This means these substances won't be lost from the blood during dialysis. However, waste products, such as urea, are absent from the dialysis fluid. This creates a concentration gradient that causes urea and excess ions and water to diffuse across the membrane from the blood into the dialysis fluid. Many patients with kidney failure have to undergo dialysis sessions 3 times a week, with each session taking 3 to 4 hours. It's not a pleasant experience and is expensive to provide, but dialysis can buy patients with kidney failure valuable time until a donor organ is found. The alternative treatment is a kidney transplant, which is currently the only cure for kidney failure. Healthy kidneys for transplant typically come from people who have died suddenly and were on the organ donor register or carried a donor card. Kidneys can also be donated by living people, as we only need one functioning kidney to survive. However, there is a small risk to the person donating the kidney. One challenge with transplants is that the donated kidney can be rejected by the patient's immune system. To prevent this, patients must take immunosuppressant drugs, which reduce the activity of their immune system. While these drugs help prevent rejection, they also make the patient more vulnerable to infections. Despite these challenges, transplants are generally cheaper in the long run than dialysis and put an end to the hours patients would otherwise spend on dialysis machines. Understanding how the kidneys maintain water and nitrogen balance helps us appreciate the complex systems that keep our bodies functioning properly. These remarkable organs work continuously behind the scenes, filtering our blood about 60 times each day and producing about 1 to 2 liters of urine. In our next episode, we'll explore the role of hormones in human reproduction and how they control the development of secondary sexual characteristics and the menstrual cycle.